All right, so we are rolling on all cylinders. You ready?
I'm ready.
You're like, I'm nervous.
I'm nervous.
But
I'm excited.
here.
No, I'm excited.
But I'm here.
It's a good nervous.
I'm not.
You're not ready?
Not nervous or not here? What?
Yeah, which one? Now
I said, are you ready? I'm like, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I was like, I couldn't tell if you were saying like you weren't ready or you were nervous or which one. I don't know anymore. So, yeah, here we go. So, I don't even know how to start my own podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is L.Y.F.E on the Right Mind podcast. This is my man Jay Faith. I'm his co-host. We got our guest Kayla here.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah, there we go. This is a good start. I do want to say God bless everybody. Appreciate everybody that's following. As always, I just want to say this is a MOCG media production right here at 41st Studios. And again, we got L.Y.F.E right here.
What's up?
And we got episode 46 queued up. As you can see, we're botching it completely, but we're here now. And we're just grateful to be here with Kayla Schenk. Appreciate you. How are you today?
I'm
How's
so
things?
good. Thank
You
you.
good?
Yeah, I've been just like really excited for this. So thank you for
I
having
could
me.
tell. I could tell the build up for this thing has
I'm
been
excited.
intense, but I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Thank you for having me.
So do you want to just explain a little bit about what you do for those that may not know who you are? I know you got a big fan base, but
Such a huge fan base.
Share it up.
Well, I consider myself a creative, meaning I mostly do acting. I'm finally delving back into music, delving back into writing.
Okay.
I guess I forget who I am as soon as you ask.
Always. As soon as you're on the spot, you have everything ready before.
I'm like, I know. Who am I? When I'm not doing like creative projects, I work in the human services field. I'm a family support worker at a family resource center locally. So,
Dope.
yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So I know we talked a little bit off, like you've been doing the working in Lowell for about a year now. How's that been?
Really
As far as
fun.
like, so you work with kids? Clarify that for me.
Oh, okay. Just
Just for
community,
understanding.
mostly.
Just-
I would say mostly adults. Like I'm mostly
Okay.
working with like parents or
Okay.
individuals. Yeah, so mostly adults.
Gotcha.
But definitely just community-based work.
Community-based work.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to get involved in. So we
That's
gotta
awesome.
figure something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're working on something, but it'll happen soon enough.
We've been out there, we do like cleanups with Minds of One Collective Genius every year.
That's true. That's true.
Right Mind is just like naturally like community based. Like we talk about like finances, music, mental health. What's that last one?
Fitness, mental
yes,
health, finance,
Yeah.
and music.
That's what
yeah,
I liked
yeah.
about this podcast, actually. That it was like so well-rounded and that you guys covered a lot of different topics.
Yeah, that's what we wanted. Well, that's how obviously that was my one vision. Not necessarily the podcast itself, but that was my vision of just having different people just to share experiences, to just have different perspectives.
Right.
As far as that goes.
No, I think that's so important, especially like, well, with my acting specifically, like what I think is important is just like giving a face and a voice to stories that I feel like need to be normalized. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Especially like super like mental health. I feel like those things need to be normalized. Like just stories of like poverty, or obviously we know the systems that we have in society, they just are
Right.
set up not to work.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so important to like do like, just give those things a face and a voice.
Yeah, we need more people that are doing that stuff, because
Yeah.
there's not, and then those people that are going through those issues, those struggles, they don't have the voice. They don't have people that are backing them up. So, and then we go, these numbers are so high, we don't understand. Yeah, because nobody's doing anything about it.
Right.
And it just continues. It's just an endless vicious cycle that
Right.
continues and continues and continues, and then,
That's why I feel like it's so important to share, like even like the most like awful moments that I think society has taught us to like really like push down or not talk
Yeah.
about. Like for me, in my mind, it's the most important thing to share that and to be vulnerable and
Yeah.
to like get ugly with it. Like you need to do that. You need to process that.
You have
like,
to.
and I feel like it's so important to model that behavior for people, because if you're showing up that whatever way you show up, you're automatically opening the door for the person in front of you to show up in the same way.
Exactly.
So if you show up in authenticity, you open the door for the people around you to show up like that. So I think that's what is like my main goal, truthfully, in anything that I do.
Yeah, because people will, how do I say this? They feed off of other people. So like, especially like
it's an energy thing.
I think of it like with like the kids. So if I show up to work and I'm just constantly on my phone, I'm not talking to anybody, and the kids are there and I'm just constantly on my phone, they're gonna be like, oh, this is a cool behavior. I'm not gonna talk to anybody.
Correct.
So then they're like, oh, I'll just stay on my phone because Mr. Justin is doing the same thing, and that's just what older people do. But it's like, no, like that's not what people do. Like we sit and we have conversations. Like this is how you have a conversation, not through Instagram or a messaging app, whatever. It's about having these conversations and being able to engage with each other. And a lot of that is lacking a lot. That's what I'm seeing a lot.
Completely agree.
It drives me nuts sometimes, especially at work, because some of the kids, they can't even get off their phones for 30 minutes.
Oh my God, yeah. It's wild to see, because like, when we were kids, like we would, we were outside, not on technology of any sort.
We didn't have phones.
No.
Like
that too.
And like now kids would rather stay inside and just, talk to each other like through like, Twitter or whatever else.
I know. And with that, it's like there's so much lost. Like
so much.
The art of communication, the beauty of connection, like making eye contact with people.
Yeah.
I noticed like when I was walking from my apartment to the garage just to get in my car, right? So I am the person, like if I'm walking by you and we make eye contact, I'll just like give a little smile. Hi, how are you? Like whatever. Like, that's just what I do.
Yeah.
I noted every single person that I walk by. Not that I was like, I just
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
No, but like I just observed like everyone is just so in their own little bubble, in their own little world, like whether they're just like not making eye contact at all or glued to their phone, and I'm like,
it's bad.
What's up with that? I don't know.
It scares me.
I never got that.
It scares me sometimes. Like it really does. Like where our form of communication is coming from now. That like, because again, I relate it back to my job where thankfully we do have a lot of kids that do come to us and like share like different things that they're going through, but God forbid, there are the number of kids that actually say something and then the number of kids that don't is such a vast difference.
Yes.
And then it's like these kids don't know how to just share what's going on, so then they internally self-destruct.
Yes.
And then we're going back to that scenario. Oh, why are they doing this? Because look at the positions that they're in now where they have access to social media, just a phone in general. Like I didn't have a phone until I was 14. And granted, cell phones and the functionality of being able to carry it in your pocket, versus like in a car phone, how it used to be, was kind of still going. But like I didn't get one until freshman year of high school. Like I didn't need one. If I was going somewhere, there was a phone.
Right.
Which, nowadays there's still, majority of the time, there's still a landline somewhere. At least in I'll say like, I'll use this term loosely, like a professional building, especially for kids. Well, at least for kids.
Yep.
There's at least some type of landline for people to communicate. So again, like why does your child need a phone and a watch, and then they call you on their watch and then you're tracking them. I remember one kid, they were like, I have like 4 trackers, like my watch, my phone, and then they had the 2 like Apple tracker little things. I forget the specific name, and I have one too. But they had like 4 of them. I'm like, what is happening?
I know.
Especially like at my job, because they're on a military installation. Not that it excludes it from being unsafe, because people are just weird in general and they're everywhere. But it's like more closed off. Like the community is very small. So it's like what, and I'm not trying to judge a parent. I'm not a parent, so I'm not trying to sound like that. But it's like, it just makes me wonder like what caused that to happen for you to be like, I need like 10 trackers on my child in this type of community. If it was like out in Lowell, like downtown, I'd be like, yeah, I put 30 of them on there because Lowell's just what it is. And I love Lowell. I'm not trying to knock it, but you know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. It scares me a little bit.
No, I get it. I agree.
You know, and then just the way the kids just can't communicate nowadays, I'm like,
that scares me. Like, I don't know. It just makes me so nervous.
That's like one of the first things we were taught, communication and like
respect too.
Yeah, and kids don't know
kids
that.
don't respect jack
No,
nowadays.
no.
Don't even get me started. I'm gonna start going off on a tangent on just me.
Like,
So let me. Yeah, this will be my fun session. Welcome to the Kayla Schenk podcast, where I'm just gonna vent. She's just gonna sit over there, and we'll be good. And
how does that
we'll
make
come
you
back.
feel?
And we'll come back. She's gonna be the moderator this time, and we're just gonna flip the script, and I'm just gonna go off for another 45 minutes. But yeah. It's a crazy topic. So I'm glad that people are, in a roundabout way, I'm glad that people are finally, stepping up and being like, dude, there's an issue and we really need to fix it. And,
Yes.
Come to some type of solution, because it's going downhill very quickly. And I could see it in people and just the way that they grow up. And then, it's sad.
It is sad.
It's crazy. I can't wrap my head in it. Yeah.
I really can't. It's sad. So how long have you been doing acting? Let's get into the acting.
Okay.
Because you're our first. I
thought I was.
First actor.
Actress.
I was. Okay.
On the podcast.
I'm actually really excited about that.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I think I'm gonna be the first actor.
Yes.
Let's see. I've been on stage since I was a little kid. Like, I was in the church choir, and like I would do like the musicals and all of that jazz. It wasn't so. Music was actually my first love.
Facts.
But we can get into that later. Acting just kind of took the forefront, I think, by accident.
Yeah.
But anywho, so I've been on stage since maybe I was like 6 or 7.
Dang.
Yeah. So performing somehow, whether it was in a talent show or a musical or like any time that I knew that people were sitting down and I could make them listen to my voice.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, like
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm still doing the same thing. Like, I remember I went to St. Margaret's and they had.
I went to Franco, if you remember Franco. Yeah.
Oh my God. Did we live parallel lives and we just didn't
Probably.
know?
Because, we played basketball against y'all, like all that stuff.
You guys had the best cheerleading team too. Well, hey, neighbor. We had, I think it was like oratory contest or something like that, where you could get up and like say poems and all that. And I would do things like that. It wasn't until I was in high school where I was in like the drama club.
Okay.
And then I went to Lowell Catholic. So that being said, we only had drama club for 2 years, because then after that, they couldn't find anybody to like be the head of it or like do it. So whatever, Catholic school. And we didn't have really the space for it anyways.
Yeah.
So
I remember the old Lowell Catholic. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, because I was a
you.
part of that. So actually, I graduated in 2006.
Same.
And so that's when they built like the new gym that was like
Yeah, they were like, bye guys. All right, new gym. Here you go.
literally.
Yeah.
So that went up like when we were out. So we were like, oh, I guess you didn't really like us that much.
Yeah, right. I went to Greater Lowell, so if you've seen Greater Lowell now, it's like 4 times the size, and it was already a big high school. So I get you.
You know what? Just because I grew up in small schools, I couldn't even imagine like navigating a huge school like that. But after that, and like teenage years were rough anyways. Like, I was busy kind of like acting out, and like I had better stuff to do. Like, I had parties to go to.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't really like into the extracurriculars. Like, I had a social life, people.
Right. I got you.
So
yeah.
I didn't really jump back into acting until college.
Okay.
And I went to Middlesex Community College for like 5,000 years and changed my major like 72 times.
Yep. You're like a 10th year senior.
Literally, I like should have an award just for going there for so long. So my 72nd major ended up being performing arts. So and that was one of the best times of my life. Like, that's when I was like, okay, I feel like I'm onto something. And after college, I did not graduate, but like I said, went there
to each
forever.
his
So
own.
I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't even have to graduate. I've just
Right.
been here for so long.
I've got enough knowledge
that I'm good.
I probably have like 10 degrees by now, but we'll
Yeah.
call spade's a spade, whatever.
And then I took a little break, and I've been doing a lot of community theater since like, I think 2016 or 2017. It's been pretty nonstop since then.
Nice. You
So
just
that was a
been
really
staying
long
busy.
answer. I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, hey, you got to start somewhere, and like we've been saying, the past couple podcasts is how you said, like, I've been to Middlesex for 20 years and whatever. It's like sometimes you have to take a longer time to figure out what you want to do, and like it may just take a longer route to get there. Like I worked in retail, I worked in enterprise rent-a-car, a bank. I work for a gym now. So all basically like kind of management or marketing, business kind of areas. And now I do youth development. Like where did that, but like it took some navigating and I figured it out. And I was like, well, now I can market my youth development.
Yeah.
I have all the tools that I need, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm cool. So like sometimes it just takes building the experience, so then when that opportunity comes, you're like, oh, I'm good.
You're absolutely right. Like for me, well, there was a lot of things at play too, because I had experienced trauma at a young age. Like my mental health was like off the chain, and I didn't know what was going on. And there was like also I was undiagnosed ADHD for like way too long. So like there was a lot of things in play as to like why I had like late bloomer syndrome, if you will, or like why it took me a little bit longer.
Right.
But with that being said, like honestly, I wouldn't have done anything differently.
Exactly.
And
that's the big thing.
I think when I was younger and I didn't really have as great of an acceptance of like who I am and like where I'm coming from, I like would look down on myself and be like, oh my God, you're so flighty. Like you can't stick with anything. What are you doing? Like you can't pin you down. Like what are you doing with your life? But now I'm like, no, actually that's kind of a beautiful quality, to be able to be fearless and try something and just like, just and not be scared of that. And like whether you fail or not, it's like, oh, okay, like that's the only way you can find out if you like something, if you're good at something, if you're passionate about something.
It's a lot better than just like, staying stagnant and just doing nothing, because like, you're not going to get anywhere like that. You know what I mean? It's
Correct,
like
right.
You're eventually going to find something.
Right. Like I've never been scared to take what other people would perceive as a risk. To me, it's not a risk, because to me, I'm like, well, that naturally makes sense for me on my path of like happiness or balance or whatever it is. But like, I've never been scared to do that. You know what I mean? Cause like if I feel strongly convicted about something, like I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna like take the steps to get there.
Let's just see what happens. And then like somebody said, is you figure out what you like and what you don't like, and then you're like, okay, I can check this one off. This is something that I do like. Okay, keep that in the box. And then you try something else. Nah, that one's not for me. All right, we're just gonna tuck that over there somewhere. And then it's like, okay. And then the other thing that I was thinking of is like you said, like being carefree. I'll speak for myself. I know sometimes like when you get so focused in like whether it's like music or the podcast, and sometimes you're just like, oh, I just need a break. I just want to find something else for a moment. Whereas if like you're able to just kind of bounce around in a controlled manner, you're just like, you're not constantly just like feel restricted or just like tied down by something all the time.
Yes.
So it's almost like you just have multiple outlets of different things. You're like, like I'm an actor, but like I still like dabble in like 600 different things. And this way, like my mental is just not like just torn down by 2-3 specific things.
I feel like you literally just described my brain. I'm like, wait, are you talking about me?
Oh my God.
I'm like, no, but that's the perfect explanation of it. It's like, I think to be a human being is to be multifaceted, right? So I feel like every person has depth. It's whether or not you explore it. It's whether or not you allow yourself to explore it and like find different things. And yeah, you're not gonna find out if you like it or if you're good at it if you just like sit there and think about it. It's cool to think about it. That's the first step, but like you got to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and that's why I like for me, I'm glad that if I have to put music to the side or if I have to like put the podcast to the side, I have like collecting vinyls or drawing, or I still like to read. Having those little other things that I can like kind of dab into and just take a break when either I have writer's block, which we just went through that like a couple months ago, and now I'm like I had to take a break, and now I'm like song after song after song. Like, dude, I have like 10 songs I need to record right now. I'm like, I need to get into the studio.
Good.
One of them is yours, but you got to take those breaks, and you have to be able to find creativity somewhere else. And then it just comes right back to kind of your main focus.
I absolutely agree.
So it's great that you're able to, just kind of just dance around, and it's almost like a play within a play.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yes.
She's like, do I even need to talk anymore?
No.
Can you just like say everything for me? We're
That's
good.
a wrap.
I'm good.
We're done here. Yo, what?
Mic drop. Yes.
Yeah, that's the end of it right there.
I started the same way. Like, I started singing when I was like 5, 6 years old. My first talent show I was like in 3rd grade.
What?
And, like, ever since then, like, I just took it and ran. I didn't realize I would, wanted to be serious about music until like, I'm 29 now. It was like 10 years ago that I took it serious. Before that, like it was just like sports. I put all of my time into basketball. I wanted to become pro. I played a little bit in college. I played from like second grade to freshman year of college. I've thought about acting too. I've done a tiny bit of it in my music videos and stuff like that. With that being said, for anybody that wants to dabble into that, like, how do you get started? I'm sure there's like no like 1, 2, 3 ways to do it, but like what's the best way to get started in your opinion?
First of all, I want to apologize for almost interrupting you. It's my ADHD. I got so excited. I was like, "You're on a talent show too. What song did you sing?" I'm so sorry. I need to control myself.
Girlfriend, all right?
I'm so sorry. Love that. Mine was Mariah Carey Hero. Just saying. I think, what the first thing you would. I think the first thing you need to do is decide to allow yourself to explore. Like, I think we, as human beings, like, will think of something and then automatically be like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, though. You know what I mean?
But how do you know until you actually...
Right. And acting is such a free world of, like, getting to know yourself, getting to be goofy, getting to explore. It's so beautiful. So I think the first thing you need to do is allow yourself to explore your depth, because that's, I think, any good actor roots everything they're doing, no matter whether it's like ridiculous or so serious. Like, you're rooting it in truth. You're only going to be able to take people on a journey as deep as you can go within yourself. So
that makes sense.
If you are not a person that's willing to go below the surface, that's fine. You can be a surface actor. You're not going to get too far. You know what I mean? But the first thing you need to do really is decide, like, okay, I'm going to show up in authenticity. I am going to give myself grace, because I'm going to look goofy, I'm going to look stupid, and I'm going to make mistakes.
Right.
But you're supposed to, and you have to.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the first thing would be that. And then I think the second thing, oh God, I think it would just be doing your research, like seeing what you have in the community.
True,
like
yeah.
what's the closest to you? Like, where are people hanging out that are doing what you want to do?
Right, yeah.
Do you see shows locally? Go see local shows. Go see like what is up in your area, so you can try to network and get to know these people, because usually you're only like 1 degree of separation away from whatever you want to do.
6 degrees of separation.
Like, especially on a local level, like, you can get up in there so fast. It's just our imposter syndrome that stops us.
True, yeah.
It's really like, it's so much easier if you just let yourself.
True.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's like what we said earlier. Like, you went to St. Margaret's. I went to Franco. I grew up in Lowell. You grew up in Lowell. It's like, I played basketball against St. Margaret's. I played basketball against Lowell Catholic. Like, I know him through 41st. You know, so it's like the connection is like right there. So it's like you just have to point it and attach everything together.
Exactly.
And it'll come together. It's like you said, you're not that far off from somebody just down the street.
You just need to look for it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just sit there. You need to be active.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be like
Seriously.
actively doing these things.
So before we get too far, because
sorry.
start asking some questions. So I do want to. I want to get into these questions because some of them I'm like, oh no, like don't answer. So we're starting a new segment. We have asked our audience to submit some questions, some comments for Kayla. Just based on what you do, and just whether it's just navigating your Instagram or just knowing you personally, or just people that again maybe aspiring actors that just have questions. So the first one, I'm just going to kind of go in order of when they came in. So
Okay.
The first one, and I do want to shout these people out, and I apologize if I butcher people's names or your screen names, but I wanted to make sure that you got the credit for this. So first one is at Celestial Feet 101, and their question is, what inspires Kayla to act? Now she's on the spot. She's like, oh. There we go.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because I feel like I find inspiration in so much. Like, I find inspiration walking down the street and the way like a floating leaf just goes by me, or walking by people that are having a beautiful moment, or listening to a song and like the sun is radiating off of the water and just away. Like, I feel like that's so hard for me to answer because I find inspiration in so many different things. I guess.
And I think maybe it goes to maybe hopefully try to help you out. Maybe something that we were talking about off air was, I was telling you about Atlanta and L.Y.F.E, and then you're like, I just like pocket these little like funny scenarios, and then I'm like, I'm going to act on that later. So
that's literally how I think of life. There are so many moments in my life where I'm just filing them away, and I'm like, okay, that's a song, or like that's a 5-minute scene, that's a 3-act play, like
that's a video,
right.
Like, I'm constantly doing that. Actually, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I was like, what do people that aren't creatives do? Like,
right?
Because
once you're like immersed in it, you're like, I don't know anything else. I don't know anybody else.
Well, because that's just how my brain has always worked. Like, I've always been fascinated by people. Like, human beings just fascinate me. So I feel like I've always studied humans, like, to a degree. Obviously, I like acting. So, again, going back to like filing away moments, I'm like, well, what do these people do if they're not filing them away? Like, if you're not going to make that into a song, if you're not going to write that into a script, like, what are you doing with these moments?
Right.
Are you not observing them at all?
Yeah.
Are you, like, I don't know.
Scrapbook it, put it up, take a picture, something, like, do something creative with it.
So I'm like,
capture it. Yeah.
Anyways, not to go on a tangent. I'm sorry. We can go back to the question.
No, you're good. That's a good answer. So same person. She's got they have a couple questions. I can't remember if it was a boy or girl, and I want to be respectful. But the next question they have was, what advice does Kayla have for aspiring actors? And I think we kind of touched on that shortly. That's when he said that, I was like, oh, I know that's one of them.
Oh,
so kind of answered. But if you want to add anything else to that, as far as advice for aspiring actors,
stay open. Yeah, I mean, besides what we kind of already talked about, like, stay open, stay active, listen to yourself, though. If you're feeling like you can't do something, like, always listen to yourself.
VFX.
And listen to your body, listen to your mental health, and advocate for yourself.
That's important.
Yes.
That's really important.
And I feel like especially being a female, just in this world, but like a female of color that's in the creative world, the way that I've had to navigate that world is very different. So I think one of the first things that I would tell an aspiring actor or actress is, please stay true to yourself and always advocate for yourself.
Perfect. So that brings me to, I'm gonna actually scroll down a little bit. This was Camila CV Bastos. Again, I apologize if I butchered it.
Camila, I love her.
Camila said, please have Kayla talk about navigating the entertainment industry as a woman of color. So like, you're like just pulling.
Stop it.
Nah, I kid you. This is word for word. Word for word. I pulled literally word for word. Triple, quadruple exclamation point.
Oh my God, that's Jesus. Okay, Camilla.
Won't he do it?
How did she know what I was gonna say? Like, that's so weird. Okay. How do I navigate the biz? Being a female of color, that's the question?
Yes.
Oh God.
Put on the spot.
Where do I even begin with that? How do I navigate it? Bravely, I guess. I mean, you have to. I think you have to face things head on. You can't be scared to have uncomfortable conversations. Nothing changes, nothing happens. There's no growth if there's no uncomfortable conversations. So I feel like along the way of my creative journey, I've had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations. This didn't happen till the latter part. So like more recently,
Right.
because I didn't really learn how to like advocate for myself in a creative environment until really, you know what? I started setting boundaries in 2021. I haven't stopped. Really.
Gotcha.
I was just like, all right, we're doing this.
Enough's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like since then it's just kind of, blossomed, and there's been more growth and healing through that. But it's been really tough. Like, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's not to be like, wow, poor me, but it's difficult because not only in society, but especially I feel like the creative world, what is a woman in general, not only just a woman of color, what are we always dodging? Unsolicited advice.
Right.
Guidance.
Yeah.
Because usually, or at least like in my experience, it is assumed that since I'm a female and people can assume whatever age I am, that I probably like don't know what I am doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it's
exhausting. Like I try not to let that get me down. Cause like, don't get me wrong. Like I know who I am as a person at this point in my life. I'm pretty aware of what I bring to the table.
Right.
Like the person in front of me isn't going to tell me different.
Yeah.
Now.
Exactly. Right.
But back then it was like,
Took time to figure out.
you just stay shut. What your director tells you is what your director tells you. It doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable. It doesn't matter if it's hurting your body. It doesn't matter if you're emotionally uncomfortable. Like, you put up and shut up. You got the role.
Right.
You're lucky, and you do that.
Right. You want to make it
No.
far? This is what you got to do. And it's like,
No, that's not how it works.
no, it's not.
I've realized that now. So I guess my answer, because I could go on about this, I'm sorry, forever.
You're good. You're good.
Briefly,
why we're
Camilla,
here.
thank you for that beautiful question. I navigate it bravely.
Yeah, you have to.
I have to.
You have to have that confidence and, like you said, be able to advocate for yourself, because I think real recognize real at the same
Yes.
time too. And they can be like, no, she means business. Like, we want her sitting at the table.
Yes.
Because when stuff goes down or like stuff needs to get done, we can count on you to like
Correct.
get that stuff done.
Right.
Whereas you have a lot of jokers that are just like, oh, funny business. And then when stuff hits the fan, they're just like, bye. And then they leave and they dip and you never hear from them again.
Right. That's why, like, I don't know if it's the Virgo in me, it might be, but like, I'm a stickler about professionalism. Don't get me wrong, I'm a goofball. I love to laugh. Laughing like is my love
absolutely.
language. That's one of the number one things I love to do.
Facts.
But like, when we're there to work, we're there
Let's
to
get work
work.
done.
And
Let's
like,
get
you
work
need to come prepared, and in that space, leave your stuff at the door. Like, you need to be there, you know? So like, I'm a stickler about that.
Facts. Same. I'm exactly the same way. I mean, again, I like to joke around, but like when it's time to work, like let's get the job done. Like when
Right.
we hit the studio, it's like we'll have like our little jokes and stuff, but like we're knocking out like song after song after song, because we're like, we know what we want to do. Like, let's get it done. Time is precious. Time is valuable. You know, especially for studio time. We all know how the studio time,
You're not
or just
joking.
renting space. You know, renting
Not
space.
joking.
So it's like, when we show up, like we have everything ready. Like I just recorded L.Y.F.E just a couple weeks ago, and he said the same thing. Not to go off on L.Y.F E, but
I love
he
Nate.
said the same thing. He was like, when I go to studios, like I know exactly what I want to do. I know how many layers I want to do. I know where my ad-libs are going to go. I know what, how I'm going to do it, what it's going to sound like, what it should sound like. Because I'm not wasting my time. Like,
yes,
if I can get it done in an hour, let me save my money and do it in an hour. And then I can take the money that I have left over and put it towards marketing or, whatever it may be. Like, I can apply it somewhere else. And that's exactly what I did doing my album. I recorded my entire album in my house, put all the ad-libs, everything where I wanted it to go. And then I went to the Bridgetown and stage, and I was like, dude, this is where I want. Dude, like 4-hour session, I'm knocking out like 5 songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like just bam, bam, bam. I'm like, all right, what's next? Like, geez,
Or-
we still got time? Cool.
If I bring like a certain amount of songs, like if we still have like 2 hours left, like you might as well get mixing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Start
Like,
mixing.
be smart about
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yes.
come on now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so important to respect your own time, to respect other people's time, to be mindful of situations. Like, if I have rehearsal, I'm not gonna enter rehearsal and then like do everything I have to do. No, I'm gonna go there already having done what I needed to do to get to whatever mental space I need to be in for whatever scene we're rehearsing. Like, I'm doing that before I walk in the door. Like,
Right.
I'm not getting to the door. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like so many.
You're like,
Maybe
don't
this-
bother me, peasant. I'm getting ready.
I know, I was like, maybe this
Let me
sounds
get to
ableist
my
and
memo.
rude. I know, I'm like, this might be ableist and rude, but I'm like, that's I feel like it's rookie moves. Like, respect people's time, be professional. Like you said, if you can have everything mapped out so that way when you get there, like, boom, 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 why wouldn't you? Set it up like dominoes so that way when you, like, everything can just fall into place.
Yeah, and this way too, like, again, like going back to recording my album, it's like, okay, so you knock that stuff out and then you're like, oh, like I just had this idea. Well, now you have time to like explore that idea and you can kind of make some changes and be like, hey, let's add this or take away this. Like, that doesn't really sound good. Let's try something else. Like, I have time to do that. I'm not figuring out where my ad-libs are going to go as I'm sitting in the studio session. I mean, that happens like minutely if you're just like, I feel like it's empty somewhere. Like, let's add something. Like, where can we put that? But like, if you have everything prepped, like it gives you an opportunity to, like you said, like maybe just get the mixing and mastering started or just like explore other ideas and like add on to it and make it even better than what you initially envisioned, because now you have somebody else sitting with you that can be like, hey, I hear this. Let's try that. Oh, cool. We actually have time for that.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's my take on it. So, Celestial Feet 101 has one more question, and their question is, how do you get over fear? I'm assuming that's related to, again, the acting process and getting up on stage in front of the camera.
I don't. Oh, that might sound so rude. I'm like, I don't have stage fright. No, I feel like I don't know if I've ever had like awful stage fright.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I am more so, just like today, like it's more so like butterflies, excitement. If it's anxiety, it's like the good anxiety of just like, oh, I can't
Right.
wait to like get there and just do it. You know, like I can't wait to get there and like just show everybody or like whatever. But I mean, there have been roles that I've been scared to play. So
Okay.
maybe there's some fear in that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess the only way that I got through that was literally by doing every single thing that I was scared of. Like, that's
Just embrace it.
that's
Embracing the
awful
fear.
advice. How do you get over fear? I don't know. Just do it.
Just tackle it. Just go for it.
But I mean, there's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm at the point in life now where if something scares me, that's when I know, like, okay, I need to do that. Like film
Yeah.
scares me. I'm gonna do a short film project like coming up in the spring because I was like, okay, that makes me nervous. Like, I need to do it then.
That's how you get through it. Like, the
Right.
more you do it, the more you just get. I mean, like you said, like I think for me, and I think for you as well. I think based off what you've said, not just like saying what I think you know, is like it's more and more excitement than it is like, oh my God, like I'm afraid to be on stage. It's like the excitement,
Yes.
like I'm about to perform, I'm about to go on stage and
Yes.
perform in front of people. Like I know me, like my nervousness just came in worrying about how the crowd was going to react, because like as like artists, you're always going up against like a newer crowd. It's not really people that are like, hey, I came to see L.Y.F.E, I came to see J.Faith. It's like people that you now have to like basically impress to get to like your music. Whereas like now I'm like, dude, forget it. I'm just going up there and I'm just rocking the set. If y'all like it or not, like that's cool.
Yes.
I came to do what I needed to do so that at the end of the day, you may not like my music, but you can say, damn, you put on a pretty good show.
Definitely. For me, for anybody actually, oftentimes it just takes that one time. You get through that and it's like, all right, let me do this again.
Right.
Do it again and again until like that other big step comes, and then the fear comes, but then you do that, and then everything just becomes second nature.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really get over it without doing it. You know what I mean? Like that's how you
Right.
build new like neural pathways in your brain. That's how you show yourself like our brains are beautiful things. Like they do so much crazy stuff that like
Yeah.
we don't even know. You know what I mean? Like it's like, no, that's important. Build that new neural pathway. Show yourself that you don't have to be scared.
Right.
Just do it.
That's how you gain life experience.
Right.
I mean, no pun intended.
And if it's awful, then you can always look back and laugh.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And,
Either way,
laugh.
and learn from it. That's how you improve. That's how you get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do just got to do it. Because, I mean, like you said, like, that's the only way to get through it. Because if not, like, you're just going to you're always going to fear it. Because you never do it.
Right.
Whereas at least you could say, like, all right, I tried that. It wasn't the
Yeah.
greatest thing, but you know what? At least I did it.
Right.
And I battled through it.
And I'm stubborn. So, like, I'm not going to let that feeling stop me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll go through the motions of it.
Facts.
Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, I'll go through the motions of it, but that can't stop me from, like, doing something.
Yeah. You just go through the process.
Right.
For sure. All right. So we got Madeline Michael at Madeline
my
Michael.
girl.
First question. Just got a couple questions. How does Kayla find local acting opportunities? I know we kind of dabbled around this a little bit earlier, but
Oh, God.
this is why I told you I was excited for these
Okay.
questions. I was excited.
Well, I feel like I've been very blessed to have opportunities placed in my lap. I think having an inner circle that's filled with creatives does that. Like, for example, one of my girls, Mary Darling, she's a playwright. She's one of my favorite playwrights, and it's not because I've known her since a child. She just gets it. She's real. She's funny. Like I swear her specialty is like being able to capture real life uncomfortable moments and bring the funny out of them and bring all the nuance out of them. So I mentioned her because I've been very fortunate in the past couple of years. A lot of my acting opportunities have been because of her.
Okay.
Of just, hey, like, I think you should audition for this, or like whatever. So that I was just lucky that someone hit me up and told me about it. Other than that, like Theater 411 is a great website to utilize. Like that's going to tell you all of the audition notices for everywhere in whatever area you look up. So you can just look up Massachusetts and find everything in Massachusetts, or you could look up just Lowell, Massachusetts and like find up Lowell. So that is actually, I use that a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's like the only one I use actually, and I've found a lot of things on that.
We need that for like shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just to like shows that you can actually get yourself booked on, or just,
Right.
you know, they have open slots.
Yeah.
Hey, we got, you know, such and such is performing in Worcester. Hey, you know, we got a spot. Like,
Yeah.
here's the criteria to apply, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, and then, oh, cool.
Right, that would be great for
Perfect.
for music artists.
For festivals as well.
Yeah.
Like South by Southwest opportunities or just
Yeah.
anything.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Rolling Loud.
Right.
Yeah.
Just all good opportunities. Yeah. So, I mean, that's super dope that that's available.
Yeah, it's
Especially in that industry.
yes, I've definitely found a lot of auditions and opportunities off of that.
So, what is it? 411?
Theater 411.
Theater 411. Cool. I just want to make sure that's clarified. And then her other question was, can she share insight on how to build a character? Advice on anything like that?
Whew.
Yeah, they came with some good ones. I told you.
All right. Okay.
That was a real good one.
That's actually one of my favorite things to do. One of my favorite things to do is like delve into the psyche of whatever character I'm playing.
Okay.
And like really find out like who that person is and what makes them operate the way that they do. That being said, the number one step that I usually try to figure out first is like the bridge between Kayla and that character. What makes Kayla connect to this character? That being said, I don't need to be in every character. I just need to find like certain parts of me that I'm like, okay, I can kind of like relate that or whatever, because that helps me to bring like a human aspect to it.
Right.
Because like I said, I it's important for me to like ground everything in truth. So I'm always trying to find what connects me to that character and like how I can get there. Other than that, like I will literally, one of my favorite things to do is write the character biography. Like my name is blah, blah, blah. I grew up here. Like this is what my familial structure was like. This is where I worked. Or I'll create playlists. I'm a music-based person. So like I'll usually create a playlist that I'm listening to like get me into like the mental state of that character. I just get lost up here. Like, but in a good way. Like I just think of all these things. Like, I'm thinking, what is this character? Is she a coffee drinker? Does she prefer to walk or drive? What kind of shoes does she like? Like, is she right-handed or left-handed? Like, I'm like,
you get into all the details.
Like, you need to.
The lifestyle details.
You have
of
to.
the person.
Because every character you play is a human being, right? And as a human being, we have all these things.
Yeah, that's true.
We have all of these qualities. So it's like you're literally just kind of building that up in someone else. So to other people, it might be like, you really think of that? But it's like, yeah, because as real humans, like, we do those things. We think of those things.
Yeah.
Like, what are your pet peeves, or what's a little thing that makes you happy? Like, I try to create that in that character's world.
Yeah, because if it's like a goofy character that walks goofy, like you have to understand how a goofy character is gonna walk. You have to put yourself in that position. I'm just using an example, but like you have to put yourself in that kind of perspective and get in. Okay, like how is this gonna like format? Because again, once the camera goes on, if it's a goofy character and you're more uptight and stiff, it's gonna show, and then they're like, wait, that's supposed to be a funny character. Why are they so stiff?
Right.
And then it's like, oh, now it kind of, to me, and I could be wrong because I'm not familiar with that, but then I feel like it goes into that like surface level acting of like just kind of just playing the part to play the part and get through it, and then
like, oh, I'm mad, so I'm just gonna raise my voice because this was what mad is. No, that's not what mad is.
There's different levels
mad
of
is
anger.
In your chest. Mad is the heat in your face. Mad is your like fist clenching, like
eyes
you know
watering, whatever
like,
it is. Yeah,
that's mad. Like you get it.
Yeah, feel that. Okay, and then her. Let's see. Okay, so we got Rachel Miles. At Rachel Miles.
I love Rachel. I'm so happy. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. This is why we're here. It says, she said, Kayla, based off your page, you are so in tune with your spiritual self. How do you make time for that?
Thank you, first of all, Rachel. I just do. Like that's a non-negotiable for me. Like kind of we talked about earlier, like I've made decisions, started setting boundaries, and I've finally realized like, okay, there are certain things that I need in order to be Kayla, in order to be full, in order to do what I do, whether it's acting, whether it's serving the community, or talking to a friend on the phone, like whatever it is. And my spirituality is the most important thing to me. So, I mean, that being said, I know it's so easy to like get lost in like the hustle and bustle of the everyday. So I can't say that like I'm always into my practices as much as I wish I could be.
Right.
But I'm definitely always trying to like stay in tune with myself, take an inventory of like, all right, girl, what you got going on in there? Like, are you all right?
Yeah,
like,
of
do
course.
you
You
need
have
anything
to, though.
today?
You have to.
I do believe in God. That my faith is the one thing that has got me through and is the reason why I'm sitting here right now, truthfully. So like for me, I'm always talking to God, whether it's out loud and I'm like, okay, thank you, Jesus, or like whether it's
Exactly.
literally,
Yes.
and I didn't notice I did that until my cousin made fun of me for it. She's like, well, you're always praising Jesus. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Or like if I'm talking to him in my head. Okay, I got this today. Like, please help me with this, or like whatever. Like, I'm always making sure that connection is open because I know for myself when that connection is not, I know how that makes me feel.
100%. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's a non-negotiable for me. I am not willing to go back to that place. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah, same. I feel
So,
you.
at the very least, I'm waking up before I'm like even actually awake, you know, like when you're just coming into consciousness, I'm already talking to God and thanking him for today.
Yeah, amen.
Like, thank you. I'm about to open my eyes. Thank you for that. Forgive me for the crappy stuff I did yesterday, by the way.
Yes, please. Yeah. Amen.
Please help me move forward.
Yes. Oh, you're reading my mind right now. Yep.
But like that's what I'm doing. So at the very least, I'm at least talking to God. If I can like do my like full moon rituals and like get all into it with my crystals and my sage and like all this, yes, I would love to. And I try to do that like at least a few times a week, you know? But at the very least, I pray every day.
And I think what people have to understand too with things like that, because like I'm kind of on the same wavelength. Like I get up at 4:00, literally before I even grab my phone. Like as soon as my eyes open, I'm like, thank you God, like just for waking me up. Then I'll go downstairs, I'll get dressed, I'll read my Bible, I'll hit the gym, and then I go to work. Like so for things like that, like one, you make time for it, especially if it's important to you and meaningful. Second is I'm not I'm not perfect with that either. There's some days like I don't read the Bible or I miss that morning prayer or whatever it is. Like, and that's okay. Like we do get lost in that hustle and bustle, but again, just try to make sure that you kind of recenter yourself and be like, okay, like I know I use this loosely, gone off the deep end a little bit too far. Like I need to reel myself back in and get back into my routine because I know that this is something that really helps me and keeps me centered and just the mental where it needs to be so that I can function moving forward. So it's not always perfect. Like I just want people to like recognize that as well too. Just like just like you were saying, it's not always perfect. It's not like every day at 4:00, wake up, thank you, prayer, Bible, gym, work, home, pray, thank you. You know, it's never like it's not like that every day. Like,
that needs to be the audio for a reel.
Like, can we make this a TikTok reel or something?
I was literally like, we now have audio for a reel. Thank you so much.
But it's not like that. So, you know, just take it literally one day at a time. Like if I had to give any advice on this, take it one day at a time, but if it's meaning to you, you'll find a way to implement it. And two, just take it day by day and just implement how it works for you.
Right, like whatever you can do that day.
Yeah. And you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to do all of this stuff either. That's just me. I'm a psycho. But yeah, so it's not perfect all the time. So
it is not.
Clarifying that piece. So we have Keep Off the Cliff Creations says, Kayla, do you have to tap into your emotions to be able to translate characters so strong? And then I just wanted to add, it's Marte Media, M-A-R-T-E
Marte Media, yep.
Marte Media, thank you. Kind of asked a similar question, so I just wanted to tie these in. Said, how do you get into character? So I assume these are kind of interrelated in a sense.
Beautiful. Okay, so I love these questions. They're so good.
Yeah.
Do I have to tap into my emotions? Yes. 1,000%. Yes, I am diving deep depending on what character I'm playing. I'm diving pretty deep. I'm going off with headphones 45 minutes before call time, and I'm like pacing, listening to music that gets me into, you know what, like, yes, you are definitely like tapping into your own emotions. Sense memory exercises are, so if you're familiar with that, like basics, it's like, yeah. That's super helpful. How do I get into character? Oh, I just said it. Depending on what the character is, which I played a series of characters back to back, like consecutively, that were just like actively unraveling, just like in their own way. So that was like a 45 minutes, hour beforehand. I have my playlist. And I'm going, and I need to, by myself, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't make eye contact with me, don't ask me if I'm okay. Like, I'm getting into character. I usually tell my castmates prior, like, hey, this is just my process. If you see me, like, kind of off alone, like, I'm just doing my thing. I'm really, like, going to those, I open the vault, and I get those memories. And I allow myself to go to those places. No matter like how hurtful or awful it is, I give myself the permission to go there.
Yeah, like when I get ready for shows, like usually when I'm driving there, I have a playlist. It's like my inspiration playlist. It's like artists that have obviously inspired me, or like, you know, I've just like really embraced, you know, what they do, what they talk about, like Joe Budden, Eminem, NF, J. Cole, you know, those guys, like basically just them. But, you know, and just getting my mind right, like, you know, these are like caliber people that like I relate to, I aspire to be like, but in my own way, not obviously like just copying. And then, you know, during the show, you know, before I go on, like I'll usually, like, honestly, like if you ever see me leave to go to the bathroom, usually like I'll go, honestly, do a fear dump, I take care of that right away. And then, hey, listen, it happens. I'm not the only one.
I'm not judging you.
That
That took a second to realize what you said.
And then, you know, I'll do a quick prayer, like, thank you for, you know, just allowing me to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Just give me the strength to get through, yada, yada, yada. You know, I'll do a little prayer for that, you know. And then, you know, just before I'm about to go on, like, I'm usually just by myself. Like you said, like, I'm in my head. I'm just kind of just pacing. I'm just, like, thinking about everything. Everybody's like, dude, he's, like, so quiet. I'm like, I'm just getting ready.
Yeah.
Like, Crispy even said it when we were at, like, the Worthen. Like, I was sitting in a crate, like, in the corner, like, just, like, head down, just, like, focused.
That's me.
He's like, I knew you were getting ready. I'm like, yeah, I was about to go on. Like, this is just how it goes. Yes. But everybody has their own different process. But, you know, it's just find that process that just works best for you.
Right. I do the same thing. I definitely need to be alone because it's almost like I'm gathering every ounce of energy that I have to be able to like release that on stage and to be able to take people on a journey. So it's almost like I want to hold on to that until I get on stage. I don't want there to be like I don't want to drop any. Like,
I want to be ready. Yeah, you want to be ready.
I do the same thing though. So I time it so that way, because I always say the same prayers before I walk on stage. So I'll say an Our Father, Hail Mary, and Glory be. So I always say those three, and then I'll just be like, okay, be with me, give me what I need to be here. So I time it right, so that way, like right as I'm walking on for my entrance, that prayer is ending, and I'm walking on stage, and the next thing that I'm doing is whatever my line is.
You just right in there.
So I've always done that.
Yeah. Wow. It's powerful. Powerful.
Yeah. Thanks. Works for me.
All right, so we got Rachel Miles again. Say, Kayla, I'm struggling with a creative block. What have you done to combat that?
Oh,
creative block.
Rachel. Oh, like, hitting me with
we were just talking about that earlier, too.
Oi, you know what, girl? I am too. I'm like, thank you for actually getting me kind of on the tail end of coming out of a creative block. Writer's block specifically. You ever just write something and you're like, oh my God, that sounds ridiculous. You're like, delete. Okay, let's try it again. Oh my, that's awful.
Like, that's where I was at, like, just like 2 months ago. I was telling him, because we have stuff that we're working on, and I was like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Now is not the time.
Or I'm like, I'm piecing things together. I'm like, this sounds like a 4-year-old wrote it. Like, this is crazy. I guess, how do I get through it? I just let myself kind of just do all the bad and just let that get out of my system. Like, oh, okay, am I writing 5-year-old lyrics? Sure, let's just get them out of the system to make room for some adult ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's just process this
Right.
out. Like, I don't know what's going on. I got to get this weird energy out. But like a writing exercise specifically that I learned in college when I was in a creative writing class, the teacher was like, just start writing, I'm stuck. Like, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, until like something flows out of that. And I've actually always carried that with me.
Excuse me.
As I was like, oh, that's actually
Pretty interesting.
kind of, it's, sometimes it really does work. Other times it doesn't at all, but
Yeah.
I guess, well, I was kind of working through like just this little, I wouldn't say phase. Like I just felt like just like a month of feeling like really like uninspired and like not motivated and just like, what am I doing? Yeah. You know, do you ever have those moments where you're like, okay,
That was like 2 months ago. Yeah.
let me just take the next month and question every decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let me just do that.
100%.
I definitely just had that. And I think the only way to get out of it is through, right?
Yeah.
The only way out is through, at least for me. I feel like through, in most situations, the only way out is through. So I just kind of listen to myself, take care of myself. I am not going to do anything good creatively if my spirit is depleted. If I'm just like straight up bedraggled, you're getting nothing.
Yeah.
So like, so if I am feeling uninspired, then that's a direct indication like, okay, girl, you probably just need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the best advice I got a long time ago, especially with like writer's block and stuff, is like sometimes you just have to let life happen. Like you just have to live a little bit, like get those experiences,
Yes.
find those funny moments that you can put in your pocket and be like, oh, okay, that's what I can use. Like sometimes you have to, on the other side is like just take a step away for a second and just let things process for themselves, and then you just get your material from, you know, life. And you just let things happen. Or life.
That's what I'm thinking. Either way.
But yeah, so like, you know, that was the other thing for me that worked for me was sometimes you just got to take a break. You know, as much as you don't want to, you're like, no, I'm a creative. I got to keep creating and I got to keep doing it. But
You can't though.
Yeah.
Without
you have to take a break
break
for yourself.
Yeah.
You have to take a break for yourself.
Yeah.
Just for your own mental in general, but also just to like you. How long can you feed off of the same experience over and over and over and over and over and over again? Like you have to get something new so that you can create something new.
Right.
You know? So, let's see. So Keep Off the Cliff Creations is back again. It says, I would like advice on how you prepare for a new writing or acting role. I don't know if we kind of answered that earlier and like preparing for a role. But again, just wanted to make sure that
That might be similar. If I'm preparing myself for something new, then I always give myself the same pep talk of like, okay, it's okay if you're scared, girl. Like, that's fine. That's part of the process. Stay open. If you're scared, like, just stay open. Talk to someone about it. Have a safe person. You know what I mean? Like, have your little safety blanket. So I feel like, it's usually the same pep talk of just like, stay open, be ready, and just do it. Yeah.
just embrace it.
Yeah.
Get in there. Marte Media says, what is your dream role?
Oh my God. I think I can't say that it's like a character that's already been developed or from a show that's outright. Like I can't say, I feel like my dream role would be a role that depicts, again, probably active unraveling, but like that depicts like like a mental health struggle or like some sort of like life journey struggle that's not pretty, that's really difficult. You know what I mean? Like, I think, yeah, it's just my dream to like cry and scream on stage. No, but like to be able to take people on that journey, A, B, to normalize that for people. I've noticed that the best, some of the most incredible things that people have said to me, like after they've seen me in a show, was just like, you made me feel feelings that I didn't know I could feel.
Those are the best.
Or like, you made me feel like it was okay to feel like that. And like, that's truly my goal. So any role that's going to create that connection between me and the person watching it, like, that's my dream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So overall, like making
That's
impacts
my
like
dream.
through art is like that's one of the most
Yes.
powerful things too. Like other
Yes.
than like just like talking about it, like being like in a role or like talking about it in a song or like anything else, like creatively, like it brings it out that much more, like
Right.
in full.
Right.
So,
And like,
yeah, it's great.
I need people to know that like, it's okay to get really dark. It's okay to get really down. It's okay to bawl your eyes out, like, and just have like ugly cry. Like, I'm so sick of society being like, you know, just like stuff it down, or
Yeah,
like men
don't
can't
show emotion.
cry,
Yeah,
or like
right.
be strong. What are you talking about? I'm actually being strong by showing up in my authenticity and by being vulnerable. So what is this like
That's more
strong
strength.
you're talking
yeah.
about?
That's more
Yeah.
strength.
Because you're just
the
modeling to people how to stay shut, and then we all wonder why there's so many problems.
Right.
Exactly. Tears Over Beers says, and apologize, I think I probably could have organized this part a little better. Says, can Kayla give advice on how she finds her inspiration in her creativity? So I think it kind of goes back to maybe.
How do I find inspiration in my creativity? Oh my God. That kind of goes back to when we were just talking about like where I find inspiration in general, which
Yeah,
I guess
I think
that
so,
answer
yeah.
was like everywhere. But that's true. Like, I really do find it everywhere. Yes, moments you're like putting away, or images you're like still shots in your mind you're trying to remember forever so you can recreate. I think it's important to like stay fresh to a certain degree, and to like stay, and by fresh I mean like childlike, like have that like
Yeah,
childlike
yeah.
point of view of like, oh my gosh, like I can do anything I say that I want, or I imagine that in my head, I can make that. Like, I think because the question was how do I stay inspired?
So how does Kayla handle her mental? Sorry. Can Kayla give advice on how she finds her inspiration in her creativity?
Okay, just want to make sure I was answering
yeah,
it.
you're good.
I think it's I've always found it super important to stay childlike in that manner, because I think when you stay open to all of those things, then you just have this continuous flow. You're in the state of flow, and if you're not in flow state, then like,
Where are you?
like I don't,
Yeah.
you can't. It's hard to create if energy is not being input and output. You know.
Right. Frank's Notra says, and I think this question is a little bit different because it mentions mental health, but I think it's a little bit different. How does Kayla handle her mental health and emotions while playing a heavy role?
Not well.
I am losing it.
Yeah.
Not well.
Through the entire time.
No, well, you have to go through it to learn, right? So I was playing a extremely heavy role for six months of my life, actually, because we did 2 runs of the show. And that was the first time that I've ever had a hard time differentiating what was my sadness and what was the character's sadness. I don't know if that sounds crazy. Maybe that will make sense to somebody.
Yeah.
But usually, for the most part, I have a very good idea of like what is Kayla's and what is the character's. I think I was in it for so long that it just got blurry. But for me, I I just had to let myself kind of process whatever I was feeling. I don't know if that's a good answer. But like I just kind of had to let it out and just let it go. Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
So they said, how does Kayla handle her mental health and emotions while playing a heavy role?
So yeah, I guess just constantly doing a check-in. Constantly.
Yeah.
Making sure that I'm really being mindful of my actual needs.
Right. Especially something that deep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Making sure that I am giving myself the time. If I need extra time to process, am I advocating for my needs? Like, am I being clear about where I'm at? Like, I try to stay open with the people around me too, because that's a slippery slope. You know, it feels so like alone that you start to get quiet. No, I try to not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of like some like Heath Ledger situation, rest in peace. But like, because I know like doing the Joker role, like, and getting so immersed into it that it did have some effect on him. And I don't know if, I know he was trying to take care of it. Again, I'm not Heath Ledger. I don't know the full backstory, but I know like he was dealing with a lot of different things mentally with that role, you know, kind of diving so deep into that role. So, you know, just to go off what you said is just like making sure like you are checking in with yourself, making sure you're good on, on that
maybe
level.
that's a good point to make. I could never method act because I need that separation between character and self.
Gotcha.
Like, especially if I'm playing like a really dark character, I can't wait to leave that at the door and re-enter Kayla and be like, all right, we're here again.
Yeah.
Like, I use that time to like process some old ugly emotions that I still have hanging out, you know, like that's what I use theater for.
Yeah.
That's how I process. I've processed a lot of my trauma that way of just kind of like having it exit through different characters, you know, just releasing those emotions. I forget what I was going to say.
Just the Heath, you know, we're talking about Heath Ledger and.
Oh yes, just I think it's
those.
so important to have that clear separation because it's very easy to get lost, especially in sadness, especially like if your brain is like on one and it's just spiraling, like you have to be able to have the wherewithal to be like, okay, stop.
Definitely. Yeah. Because like you never want to get to a point where you just like can't control it and you don't know how to get out of that. You know, Heath Ledger, the guy who played Jeffrey Dahmer as well, like he like after that he needed like therapy for a while to, you know.
Oh, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
For sure. And I don't. So these next two questions very similar, but I don't know if it kind of relates to the fear aspect. But I wanted to at least ask them and see if it kind of relates. So CAJ 1024 CAJL, excuse me, 1024 says, how do you handle stage fright? And then Brooke Agaron, again, I apologize, says, was stage fright ever a problem for Kayla and how did she overcome it, or was it easy?
It's funny because stage fright.
I don't know if that's like fear or state, you know, if those are similar.
I would probably assume that people are using those terms mutually exclusive right now. That's what I would assume. Sure. Stage fright, I feel like wasn't a thing for me. It was social anxiety that was a thing for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we talked about briefly earlier, like the excitement, the butterflies. Oh, I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to show people what I've been working on. Like, you're just like, yes. Maybe it's because when you're acting or performing, you're choosing to be perceived. You are choosing to put yourself in the spotlight. Whereas with like social anxiety, you're not choosing anything at all, and you just feel like everyone's looking at you. So I feel like if it comes to fear, I felt more fear with social anxiety with PTSD than I've ever felt with like actually acting. So the stage fright thing, I don't know if that's ever actually really been a thing for me because I've always been a little ham since I was a kid. Like if someone would sit down and listen to me talk, sing, whatever, like I was all about it.
Yeah.
Clearly. But yeah, so I don't know if that applies.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's like what I said earlier. Like for me, it wasn't like getting on stage. It was I guess you could say like the judgment piece, and
True.
like just worrying like how people were gonna receive it. I was like, I can get up on stage, like usually do talent shows, you know, for my friends all the time at summer camp, but once it became, I was working off of people's products, whereas like now I'm on stage, like this is mine, like, and it's something very personal to me. So obviously I want people to receive it and accept it and love it, but that's not always going to be the case. And it took me a while to like really like grasp that, and then just be like, dude, just get on stage and just rock the hell out of it, you know? But for a while it was like, oh, are they going to like it? Should I change this? Like just second guessing myself constantly before I get up on stage. And then I end up switching my entire set, like not the songs, but just like how I maneuver on stage.
Yes.
Because I'm like, oh, they're not going to like that. Like, don't do that.
Because you're locked in your head.
Yeah, they're like, don't do that. Like, they're not gonna like it. Just do the song. Don't do anything else. Just do the song. And then I'm like, dude, who cares?
Right, exactly. I've been there plenty times, and it took me like a couple years to, you know, break out of that. Like now I'm at a point where I'm just like, all right, I'm ready. Like, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's get the mic.
And yeah, I mean, and when I first started performing, like it wasn't so much, again, like, you know, getting on stage, but it was like the interactions afterward that I had to have, because it's also like networking and, you know, just interacting with the fans.
Did that make you nervous, or is that exciting?
At first it made me nervous, but
Okay.
like, you know, I find it exciting now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, very
Because
exciting.
it's exciting to like have people see like, you know, what I'm doing like afterward. Like, okay, you like that? Like, you know, lock in, like come to the next show, listen to my next album, next song, whatever, you know?
That's got to be such a cool feeling.
Yeah, it is.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It really is. So as we're like diving deeper into these questions, we just have a couple more, but I know that like based on just our discussion, some of them have kind of like answered themselves. But again, I just want to ask them just for out of respect for everybody. And again, I want to say thank you for everybody that submitted their questions. We really appreciate it. This has been super awesome. At least for me, I know probably for all of y'all as well.
Oh, this is great.
Too.
This is amazing. I love it. And great questions.
And again, I don't know if I typed this wrong. CalJ1024, or if it's probably CalJ1024. So again, I apologize if I butcher it. I'm gonna say it 1,000 times if I apologize. How do you prepare for a show? And I think it was kind of that.
The same thing as like preparing for a role, but
I always take opening night off. I take work off that day because I'm like, because you know, or Tech Week for theater, I don't know if you're familiar with what Tech Week is. You have rehearsal every single night of the week up until opening, probably for like anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. They nickname it Hell Week. It's actually my favorite time. I'm not gonna lie. I guess I love the torture. Oh God, I'm so ADHD. What was I saying? I'm like, Jay, help me. I lost my train of thought.
Preparing for a show, taking the night off.
Thank you, Jay. So I take the day off so that way I can make sure I'm like catching up on all of the rest that I missed from like all of the previous nights.
Right.
So I'm like recharging. I'm making sure that I am like doing my spiritual practices. Yeah. I'm talking to Jesus. I'm talking to my ancestors. I'm talking to anyone that'll listen. I'm like, okay, I gotta do some stuff tonight. Like, please, like carry your girl through. Like, I'm just making sure that I am grounded, centered, and like really just in the best place I can be at that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
definitely, for sure. Let's see. Rayviation says to Kayla, what resources are out there for actors with no management to find work? Now I know we mentioned Theater 411.
Oh, right, Theater 411. I also think my girl, one of my best friends, Maddie, she's also a creative. She has, it's called a backstage page. It's almost kind of like Facebook, but for like
I've heard of that.
actors or not just actors. I think it's creatives because you could be like a voice actor. You can do like all different things. So I know that Backstage is a great tool to have. Just create that for yourself. Put your headshots, put your reels, put anything you can find. It does not need to be professional quality. People are looking for talent. They're not looking for like the best production quality. At the end of the day, people want to know you're talented. So Shut your imposter syndrome down. Self-tape some things.
Yeah.
Self-taping is never fun. Sure, you guys know that.
Facts.
Yeah.
I hate self-taping stuff.
Let yourself have the awful
I
takes.
could redo it like 90 times. Like, come on.
And it's like the simplest lines too, and you're just like, I'm such an idiot.
I can't say one word.
I'm like, hey, everybody, my
Yeah.
name is... And
Oh,
I'm like, I
shit.
forget. Like, I don't even know.
Right.
Yeah, we were doing stuff last week, and I rehearsed it like
Yeah.
4 times before we even started the camera rolling, and then as soon as the camera hit, I was like,
Just
yeah, hold on, where's my notebook?
You're like, words, line.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I've literally just practiced this. What is going on? What is happening? So yeah.
hold on, let me read this. Oh wait, I can't.
Oh man, so bad, but for sure. Let's see. Raviation also asks, does Kayla have any advice on finding your niche, acting for stage versus screen?
Oh, I wish I could speak to screen, but as I said earlier, that there's something about film and photography that terrifies me, and that's why this year I was like, we're doing it, girl. Mm-hmm. So I can't speak to the film part yet, because I do have a short film project coming up in spring, so I can like speak on it after that. But I guess, I mean, to find anything, you just need to try. Yeah. Like we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Like you just need to get yourself out there, try a bunch of different things, even if, for example, even if you think that maybe you're not funny and you rather just be in straight plays and you just want to play serious parts. No, get yourself in an improv class. Yeah. What are you doing? Just do it.
You may enjoy it more than you think.
Like the things that immediately are kind of like, do it. Mm-hmm. There's probably a reason.
Sure.
Yeah.
Be sure.
Exactly.
Like, do it. Yeah. Like, just try so many things or else you're not going to know.
Mm-hmm. So that was actually the last question. But there were some comments, just 2 comments. So I want to make sure I shout those out. So Keep Off the Cliff Creations said, I also love being able to receive advice from gifted, talented women. That was from Keep Off the Cliffs Creations.
I'm like, that could make me cry right now. Thank you. Thank you.
And then Rachel Miles says, Kayla is honestly my girl, in all caps. Always gives the best advice and with such compassion. Love you! ! ! ! ! ! ! ! !
I'm like, guys, so hormonal. I'm like, I'm crying. Thank you. That's so sweet. This was great. Thank you so much.
That was awesome. So again, I just want to thank, now that we are officially done like the questions and stuff, I really want to thank everybody for tapping in and dropping those awesome questions. They were like super quick too. Like I was just sitting at work and it was like, bing, question, bing, question, bing, question. I was like, y'all are some dope people. So like, I hit him up so like within like 10 minutes of the post. I was like, dude, I already have like 7 questions.
That's
fantastic.
Like
me and my just like brain of again, just that acceptance and how people are going to receive it. I'm like, oh, we're going to get like 2 questions. And then all of a sudden, like we're like at like 15, 17. I'm like, y'all are some dope people. So
thank you.
I appreciate all of y'all.
And you know what? Not just for this episode, like, you know, ask us anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, ask her more questions, ask me, you know, questions, like, you know, what do you guys want to see? Like, ask us anything. Yeah.
We want to keep creating for y'all, making those connections through conversations. For y'all, this isn't just for us to sit here and chat, but we want to connect with everybody, you know, with where they're at in their level. You know, not just ours.
Right.
So speaking of, you know, just connecting, where can people, you know, as we kind of wrap up, where can people kind of connect with you if they have further questions? Just want to kind of follow along with your story. Ooh. Like where can people
I'm like such a bad actor. I don't have I'm really not a social media person. So all I have is Instagram.
Okay. But that works. It's central.
Yeah, that's true. That like works right though. So they can follow me on Instagram. My handle is, wait for it, people.
I'll type it up on the screen for you.
Just look. I'm like, do I even say it audibly? It's ridiculous. Just like look in the little description box.
Yeah, it'll be in the be in the description box. Yeah. For sure. I was
like, there's a million underscores, and we're just not going to say that audibly. So yes, follow me, please. Feel free to like DM me if you have any more questions. Thank you for the wonderful questions that were asked.
Appreciate it one more time. Thank you. And Kayla, I want to thank you for coming on, taking your time to come out here. All the pre-show support and, you know, sharing everything on socials and everything like that. Appreciate
Thank
all
you.
that, and just appreciate having you here. And I'm glad you were able to make it down.
Me
Come on here on the pod and
too.
have
Thank
this-
you so much for
have a
having me.
conversation.
Oh yeah.
So I want to thank our listeners, everybody that's tuned in one more time. Appreciate everybody. But until next time, my name is Jay Faith.
This is life.
And we got...
Kayla.
This is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. What's up?
I'm fucking sweating.
And now I'll cut it. So that